Hello everyone, my name is Deepika Verma, Senior Research Fellow under supervision of Professor Rajiv Kumar Sir of Sociology Department. In this lecture, I will explain the concept of ideal types by one of the prominent sociologists, Max Weber. The concept of ideal type is one of the major concepts in Weberian sociology. In fact, it has an important place in his methodology. In methodology, it is known as typological analysis. It is said that the inspiration which Weber has derived from the writings of Plato and Immanuel Kant enabled him to make use of the concept of ideal type. So, a question comes in mind about the definition of ideal types, that is, what is the meaning of ideal type. So, in language of Max Weber, an ideal type is an analytical construct that serves the investigator as a measuring rod to ascertain similarities as well as deviations in concrete cases. This can be made more clear about understanding about the general background of the emergence of the concept of ideal type. Uh, so, in the end of 19th century, philosophical discussions in Germany were focused on question of the place of science in human studies. It was felt that idealistic philosophers that scientific method could not be used for studying cultural subjects. The main argument was that social phenomena are unique and do not therefore allow generalizations. But Weber did not accept this view. He was of the opinion that scientific categories could be used in the field of human studies or cultural objects. So Weber's belief that scientific method was relevant to social studies encouraged him to offer a set of operational definition and to construct concepts such as ideal types. The idea behind the concept of ideal type is that social phenomena is the virtue of their manifold and fluid nature and can be analyzed solely in terms of extreme forms of their characteristics, which can never be observed in their purity. In this way, uh, ideal types are conceptual tools and standards of comparisons. Now what this line means? It means that sociologists make use of ideal types as measuring rods or as means to find out similarities and differences in actual phenomena. In fact, it is one of the methods of comparative study. Weber used the concept as an abstract model, and when used as a standard of comparison, it enables us to see aspects of the real world in a clearer and more systematic way. Now let's understand this in with the help of an example. Uh, Socialism and free market capitalism, for example, can be described as ideal types by identifying their essential characteristics, their essence, in a pure, somewhat exaggerated form that is unlikely to actually exist anywhere other than in our minds. Socialist and capitalistic societies different in many ways from their respective ideal types. For example, socialist states usually have been authoritarian and never reflect workers' interest. In the same way, capitalist markets are increasingly controlled by oligopolies rather than being freely comparative. Now from here what is to be understood is that it is not the purpose of ideal type to describe or explain the word. Instead, they provide us with the point of comparison from which to observe it. By comparing the ideal type of socialism, which actually socialistic societies, for example, we can highlight their characteristics by seeing how they match or depart from the ideal type. Sociologists use many ideal types in this way, including primary and secondary groups, bureaucracy, type of authority, such as traditional or legal, rational, etc. In this way, I hope the meaning and definition of ideal types is somewhat clear to all of you. Now let's see what are the main characteristics of ideal types. First is ideal types are mental construct and are subjective in nature. So now what that means, as Weber has stated more positively that ideal types are mental construct which are ideal in a logical sense. That is, they state a logical extreme. They depend on our capacity for comprehension and imagination. For example, we may have ideal type regarding perfect health, church, state of equilibrium, perfect religion, democracy, etc. Second one is, since ideal types are mental construct, they do not exactly correspond to the reality. It means that ideal types are constructed in such a way that they are kept at a distance from the real world. Though they are constructed out of many actual facts, they themselves do not exactly correspond to the actual fact in each and every respect, because they are mental constructs created to understand reality, and they themselves do not have actual existence. Differences are found between ideal construct and actual situations. Thus, not all the characteristics will always be present in the real world, but any particular situation may be understood by comparing it with ideal type. For example, individuals, bureaucratic organizations may not exactly match the elements in the ideal type of bureaucracy, but the type can eliminate their variations. Ideal types are therefore hypothetical constructions formed from real phenomena which has an explanatory value. Next is, ideal types are theoretical tools. That means, though ideal types are not actualities and remains as our mental construct, they function as theoretical tools to understand the reality. Its function is the comparison with empirical reality in order to establish its divergence or similarities, to describe them with the most ambiguously intangible concepts, and to understand and explain them casually. Next is, ideal types are not the instrument to denote statistical average. Now what that means? It means that ideal type is not a description of those factors or laws which are thought to be found on the average in that kind of configuration. For example, the Protestant ethics does not indicate the average behavior of all the Protestants. Similarly, honesty does not indicate the average behavior of all the honest people that the society has witnessed. Next is, ideal types signify pure or abstract types and do not indicate anything that is normatively desirable. This line means that, as Weber himself has stated, that ideal type has no connection at all with value judgments, and it has nothing to do with any type of perfections there that are purely logical ones. Thus, as thus all sorts of ideal types of there are ideal types for religions, for culture, etc. Totalitarianism is no less an ideal type than democracy. For example, for both are abstract construct with which we can compare and construct actual political system in order to see their various characteristics more clearly. It is a methodological device, that is all. It is not ideal in the sense of ethically good or right. Other characteristic is ideal types are not hypothesis. Ideal types are not hypothesis. It means that ideal types are not hypothesis, and hence the question of providing or proving or disapproving them, and establishing general laws does not arise here. Uh, it is not a basis of comparative experiment for the purpose of setting up general laws. On the contrary, it is a limiting case for the explanation of a specific configuration. Comparative tests are always such as to throw light upon the specific configuration and check the adequacy of the specific ideal type. Thus, Weber, in his wide studies of the sociology of religion, examined the relationship between the religious ethics in various societies and elements of economic development there. But there was not to establish general laws about the relationship between religious ethics and economic development. It was essentially to check the sufficiency and validity of his ideal type of relationship between Protestant ethics and the emergence of industrial capitalism of the Western Europe. Next is, ideal types are not rigid and fixed things, but they are subject to change. It means that ideal types are abstract in nature and they reside in our imagination. They are changeable and subject to consideration from time to time, and they are affected by social thinking and social environment, and hence cannot be permanent. Weber did suggest that major discrepancies between reality and an ideal type would lead to the type being redefined. Thus, redefinitions of ideal type can also take place. In this way, these are the main characteristics of ideal type. Though ideal type is one of the prominent concept of Weber, but it is also criticized in some ways. Many thinkers criticize by saying that the ideal type is a mental construct. Many a time it is confused to be the actual reality itself. There is also a possibility of considering the ideal type as a Procrustean bed into which data are forced in. The ideal type is often made a theory, and the ideas or things that is represent as often taken to be the ideas and things that are very much found in the real world. It is commented that the concept of ideal type is very complex and only an expert sociologist can understand and make use of it efficiently. Though ideal types are very significant in the study of social sciences, their uses is somewhat limited because they cannot be used in all type of social analysis. In this way, this lecture was all about a brief introduction about the theory of ideal types given by one of the prominent thinker, Max Weber. I hope you all have gained some knowledge with the help of this lecture. Thank you so much.